What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another live stream. I wanted to make a video about Chargers and the Raiders and, all of the things that are going to play into this game, all of the, um, I guess you can say storylines that are kind of going on right now. But to me, the only storyline that is important to me is how the Chargers run defense stacks up against a team that is figuring out their identity, right? The Raiders are starting to figure out their identity. The Raiders are now they're not a great team, but they are starting to figure some stuff out. And you know, I wasn't really worried about them week one, but as it turns out right now, their strength is our weakness, and that is one of the things that I want to get into. I want to talk about how the Raiders are going to come at the Chargers, right? At least in my opinion, the smart way to come at the Chargers. And I wanted to get into some video as well to some stuff that I seen in the Cardinals game. There was some good stuff. There was some bad stuff. There was some stuff in between. Um, there's some stuff that the Chargers really cannot afford to do if they expect to win. So I wanted to get into that pretty much right away. I wanted to get into it and let's see how the Chargers did. Like I know that they won, and I know that there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that a lot of people want to talk about on the positive side, right? And I get it, I understand it, but going forward, right, the Chargers they can ill afford to lose more than 2 games, I believe. And this game coming up, again, there's a lot of people who are projecting, a couple of weeks ago, how many wins the Chargers can have and all of this stuff. Like, you can't really project when projecting, as far as 2 or 3 weeks off, you can't really. That's why I don't the schedule watching thing, and I've talked about it. You can't really get into the schedule watching because everybody is looking at this Raiders team. They're 3-7. The Chargers are, or at the time they were 3-7, right? The Chargers were, 5-4 or whatever. And you're just looking based off of records and all of this stuff. That's why you can't really do that, because a couple weeks ago this game looked like it was a win, right? By any stretch of the imagination. If you're just going up with, the Raiders are a bad team and the Chargers are not a bad team, they're an okay team, they're in between, you expect the Chargers to win. But this is where you get into the weeds a little bit, right? Because you could be running into a buzzsaw. And again, the way that the Raiders are playing, they're not a great team. They went out and they made a lot of mistakes in free agency. They tried to build their team like Kansas City, right? They tried to out chief the Chiefs, and you're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. It doesn't matter who you have at receiver, doesn't matter who you have at tight end. You're not going to be able to do that because you don't have Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, right? If you don't have that guy at quarterback, you're not going to be able to out chief the Chiefs. I don't even think the Chargers can out chief the Chiefs, right? They have to have their own identity. Every team has to have their own identity. You're not going to go out. You're not going to out Mahomes. You're just not going to do it, especially with Derek Carr at quarterback. So they made a lot of mistakes in free agency. They made a lot of mistakes. I think Devontae Adams is a good player, but the way that the way that the Raiders are built right now and the way that they're having success, Devontae Adams doesn't have a huge part in it. He only had 7 catches for 74 yards or whatever it was this past week. You gotta, you have to look at what the Raiders do well, and they have been running the ball well. They started running the ball well even before these past 2 wins. They had started running the ball really, really well. Josh Jacobs really got into a rhythm. Even in some of the games that they lost, Josh Jacobs was good. The Raiders just went away from the run. The Kansas City Monday night game, it comes to mind. The Raiders were really playing well. Josh Jacobs was playing well. Josh McDaniels decided to go away from that. When you have a weapon like Devontae Adams, it puts pressure on coaches. It puts pressure on the quarterback to get that guy the ball. But the Raiders are having success running the ball. 283 on the ground in Seattle. That was impressive. So what the Chargers need to do, they need to absolutely 100%. They need to stop this run this week. That's the only way the Chargers are going to have a chance. They have to stop the run. Now they can give up, they've been giving up over 150 yards a game, right? I think if the Raiders are there, if they're at 150, 160 yards, I don't think it's going to be enough to beat the Chargers. To be honest with you, I think they're going to have more than 200 yards to beat the Chargers. I think Justin Herbert is really in a groove now. I think he's in a rhythm. I think he is starting to develop a lot of trust with other receivers, not Keenan Allen, right? You look at DeAndre Carter, the way that he played against Arizona. He had a very, very good game, but some of the catches that he made, some of the routes that he was running were timing routes, and it looks like him and Herbert are really on the same page. Herbert likes throwing to him, so you have another guy that I think Herbert can trust. And then if you look at the tight end position, I think Stone Smart, I think he has really come in, even though he hasn't had that big of an impact on the field. I think he's pushing the other guys to try to get better a little bit, try to develop a little more chemistry. Gerald Everett, I know he didn't practice a lot last week, but he had a pretty solid game against Arizona as well, too. So it looks like the Chargers are starting to develop some chemistry offensively. The running game obviously still is not there, and I'm going to go over that as well, too. But when you look at this team and when you look at what they are able to do offensively, they're able to move the ball. The Chargers are able to move the ball. And if the Raiders are not focused on running the ball, if they're not focused on running the ball, then you have a situation where I think the Raiders are just not going to be able to do enough to beat the Chargers. When you look at week one, you look at the victory by the Chargers, right? The way that the Raiders tried to come out and play, Devontae Adams had 10 receptions, 141 yards, and a touchdown against the Chargers in week one. They went to Devontae Adams often. He had 10 receptions, and I think they targeted him like 14 times. So that is not going to beat a team like the Chargers, right? Who is not they're pretty average by all measures, right? Going to Devontae Adams a bunch is not going to beat the Chargers. It's just not. And if the Raiders are smart at all, they would watch this film against Arizona and see this is the opposite way to beat the Chargers. Arizona was running the ball very, very well from a very, very awkward position too. A lot of it is shotgun runs. They were running the ball well and they went away from it. Cliff Kingsbury decided to go all out, decided to spread the field and all of this stuff. And the Chargers are okay. They're pretty decent at defending the pass. So it obviously didn't work out for them. And they lost the game because of that. So if you're the Raiders and you're looking at what not to do against the Chargers, you look no further than this Arizona film that we're about to get into right here. So I took some notes and we're going to get into this film here. So let me go ahead and I want to go ahead and share my screen. What's up, Pedro? What's up, Alexis? Let's see. Truth is, doesn't matter if Jacobs plays. The Chargers are giving it up on the ground to anyone. Yeah, we love making cats famous, right? Yeah, and I think he's going to play. I think he'll end up playing, too. He had the same calf injury last week, and he ended up playing against the Seahawks. So the injury was even fresher. I think he hurt it on Friday of last week, and he ended up running for 230 on Sunday. So the injury is fresher. They said he re-aggravated it a little bit, but he had an 86-yard walk-off touchdown in overtime. So I don't know how injured he is. I think they are just resting him for precautionary reasons. That's why he's not practicing. He's going to play though. He's definitely going to play. I don't think he's going to sit this game out. Smart and Josh McDaniels, contradictory terms right there. Yeah, but again, if Josh Jacobs is playing, right, it would be smart to just give him the ball 30 times, just like they did the last game, right? If he makes it harder and if he tries to make this a shootout, then yes, obviously it's going to be on him. But you have something working, why go away from it? So I don't see them going away from it. They can't. He could. Josh McDaniels is known for that, but we'll see. Cards versus Chargers film breakdown. Yeah. Well, we're breaking down the Cardinals film, but I'm gonna tie a lot of this into what the Raider game will look like or should look like for both sides. We'll see. But yeah, this is the film from this past Sunday, but going into this next week, this Raiders week, it's an important game. So shout out to the guy who keeps the Chargers name alive. Is that me? I guess it's me. Thank you. If that's me, appreciate it. Chargers just give up 140 plus run and we're okay. It's not the 40 plus runs that's gonna hurt us though. Honestly, I think it's the 7 and 8 yards 7 and 8 yards is going to really hurt us. That's what hurt us against the Cardinals. So it's I don't know, man. I don't know. It's not the big runs that hurt, because the big runs, if it's a big 60-yard run for a touchdown, that drive is over. You can come back out and stop the run again. But if you're hitting 7, 8, 7, 8, 7, 8, 7, 8, it gasses the defense. And it really, really puts you behind the 8 ball as far as offense goes. Then you have to come out and you start throwing and all of that stuff. So it's the 7 to 8 yard runs, they scare me more than the big, 30, 40-yard runs or whatever. Strategy to beat the Chargers, run the football with Jacobs and Johnson. Yeah, make the defense come up and then pop them with Devontae Adams, deep flash and shot. Exactly. That's exactly what I think that they are going to do. Barring anything crazy that happens, that's what I think they're going to do. But we'll see, because Josh McDaniels is not he's not the best coach in the world. We know this. So it's going to be something that I think a lot of people are going to expect. This is the way you come out, and this is the way you beat the Chargers. If you don't do that, then you're trying to be too cute and you're trying to do too much. So I think the Chargers have they should have a very, very good idea of what teams are going to try to do against them. But we'll see. We'll see what happens game time. But I want to get into what I think the Chargers are going to have to do to beat the Raiders defensively, what it's going to look like up front. So I got my notes here, and I kind of want to get into this. So the first one I want to start off with is, and I've seen there's a lot of this in this game here. I don't know if this was something that Staley, told guys to do, but this is not the only time that I've seen it happen. I've seen a lot of guys rump, not necessarily Khalil Mack, but I've seen guys lose and contain on the outside, right? This is that's a disaster situation to be in when you're losing contain on the outside, right? That's not a place where you want to be. You cannot lose contain on the outside. So I want to get to this. Chris Rumph has had one of the more disappointing seasons, I think, for me. This is Chris Rumph has just been a disappointment. I expected him to do something, but he has been a disappointment, and he has not been good in pass rushing or the run game. And this play really illustrates it here too, because what he does here, the decision that he makes, is going to give up a pretty good chunk. So here's Rumph right here, right? You got to notice you're playing Kyler Murray. You're playing a running quarterback. It's so very simple. You see Khalil Mack here. Khalil Mack I think he's the best at it in the league at setting the edge. You got to rush straight up the field, right? You got to keep him in the pocket, especially him at his size. He's 5'10". You got to keep him in the pocket. It makes no sense to let him outside of the pocket. That's when things happen, right? Even their run game, right? They get outside of the pocket. I mean, they get outside of the tackle box. That's when things happen, right? You have your strength up here, Sebastian Joseph-Day, Brendan Fehoko. They played really well this game. They were doing some stuff on the inside, right? You got to funnel everything down to the inside, right? Your run stoppers, you got to funnel everything down here. It makes no sense to crash here. What are you doing? So when you look at this play, you're going to see it here. He crashes, and then Connor gets the outside, and then you give up a pretty good chunk. Like, this is bad football here. This is bad football. You pull this out against the Raiders, you're going to have a very, very tough time. Josh Jacobs can run between the tackles, and he can run on the outside. So this is undisciplined football at the highest levels, and you see it here. Look at this. Like, it makes no sense why he crashes down. You have to come out. You have to keep your contain. If you don't keep your contain, you're going to let everything outside, and you're going to give up big plays. And this is just bad football. Just bad football. You see he crashes down, and then nobody's outside. Nobody is there on the outside, right? You're lucky Asante Samuel makes the tackle, but if he whiffs on that, that's a big 30, 40-yard gain. So he did it. Chris Rumph did it. I seen Kyle Van Noy do it too. I think I have it noted down, or I think I have it written down in one of the plays here. But you're going to see they lost contain, and when you start doing that, you start losing discipline, right? You start trying to do too much, and we already know the Chargers are a bad run defense, and I think these guys are trying to do too much, right? You're going outside of yourself. They're not doing their job. They're trying to make plays in the backfield when they may be there, right? They may be there to make, but if you whiff, you're going to give up a big play, right? So the risk reward isn't really there. And this is already a bad run defense. So when you're adding undisciplined nature plays like this to a bad run defense, all it can do is just make everything worse. So they have to be better. They have to be better. Again, this is a team that is going to be going up against a team that is running the ball very well. They've run the ball for 400 yards. Raiders 400 yards the past 2 games. They have to be better. This is not going to work against this team, right? This is not going to work against it. So again, I talked about Sebastian Joseph Day and Breeden Fehoko right now. So I'm gonna get to them. They played really well. They had some very, very, very good inside moves to stop the run. And they got better as the game went on. So that's kind of what I want to get into. Morgan Fox as well too. Morgan Fox has played really, really well. Very, 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 very sound, and he's been good all season long. Let me get to some of these here. The 7-8 yard runs take time off the clock. That's Staley's defensive philosophy. But it leaves no time for the offense. Like it doesn't, it really, really does not make any sense. Honestly, it doesn't make any sense. You guys give me a quick second. I will be right back. I'm going to tend to something right now. I'll be right back. Just give me a quick second. Be right back. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Just had my daughter getting home from her grandmother's house, so I had to go out there and greet her and everything. Okay, so back to where we were here. Yeah, 7 or 8 yards take time. Yes, Staley's defensive philosophy. Yeah, it is, but it's his philosophy hasn't been working, so it's he needs to go with something new. And I've seen this one here. Staley's explanation for the current state of the defensive scheme is completely contradictory to the way he described how he wanted to build the front. Yeah, it is. And I've seen that he said that it is about, he's not worried about the 5 yard runs, but the 40 yard runs. It doesn't make any sense. None of it makes any sense. And that's not being, he said he wanted to build a trench team. Obviously, that is not a trench team. That is giving up 5 yards a carry. That's not a trench team. It's just not. It's not. It's 100%. 100% a contradiction to what he wanted to build. And this is the thing about Staley, right? He's a politician with all of this stuff. He gets very, very, very political in his goalpost moving and all of this stuff. This is not what he wanted to build. This is not who This is not the team that he wanted to have, right? This is not a soft team that he wanted to have. He wanted to build a trench team. He failed at doing so. So now he's moving the goalpost. So yeah, I think he is. We see that he's a politician. We see that he's full of shit. So it is, it's a situation where things are not going well. So now he's trying to adjust it, and he's trying to, make up for. He's trying to make up for what's not happening on the field. He's trying to make up for that at the podium, and it's just not going well for him. So, um, let's see. Sue would give the D line an edge of toughness, and teams wouldn't second guess pounding the ball. Yeah, but he is on the Eagles. He's on the Eagles. So yeah, the Eagles are they're a tough team. Whether or not they play well, they're tough at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, and this is something that the Chargers are not. So again, man, this is just it is what it is. But now let's get back here to this play. I wanted to focus on Sebastian Joseph Day. This is a move here that he is very, very. I wanted to pointed it out because he looked very good here. And here he is right here. He's going to shed this guard very, very easily and make this play here. I mean, just good. Very good stuff. Very, very good stuff. This is what the Chargers are going to need against the Raiders. So let's look at it again here. Shoots off, sheds him, stops him running back before the play even gets started. That's what the Chargers are going to need. Very, very good stuff up front. I've seen a lot of that from Joseph Day, and I've seen a lot of that from Morgan Fox as well, too. Breeden Fehoko, when he was in the game, he did a lot of this type of stuff as well, too. Now, this right here, this alignment specifically, right, that the Chargers are in, they have two down linemen, and you have the two outside backers standing up. This alignment should not be played a lot on Sunday against the Raiders. It just shouldn't, because the Raiders are a team that is going to run the ball. They're going to run the ball, but they're going to be in power sets, right? This here, I guess, and even though the Chargers got ran on for 181 yards, right? So this alignment just should be scrapped to begin with. But there's only two receivers out here on the plate, right? So I don't think having Bryce Callahan, there should be another linebacker on the field, in my opinion, right? Because we already know that teams are going to try the Chargers, are going to try them in the run game. But this right here is just not going to work. There's two tight ends. This is a two tight end formation, right? This is 21 personnel. Why are you lined up with just two down linemen and these outside linebackers? We know that this guy can't really do anything, get off block. So this is pretty much a three down lineman formation here. If the Raiders see this, they're going to run the ball. They're going to run the hell out of the ball. Whether or not Jakob Johnson is in the game or not, Jakob Johnson, you see him, I put him on the thumbnail because he is a crucial part to what the Raiders do in the run game. He is a fullback, an old school fullback, big dude. And he really, 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 really opens up a lot of lanes for Josh Jacobs. He's big, and when he gets on linebackers, even big linebackers, they have trouble shedding him. And this is something that Drew Tranquill and Kenneth Murray are going to see a lot of. They're going to see a lot of Jakob Johnson, and to be able to shed his blocks is it's going to be a tough task. So, but again, if this formation is out on the field in any way, the Raiders are going to run from it. Even if they have one tight end on the field, they're going to run. They are going to run the ball. So expect a lot of that. This formation's got to go. This two down lineman stuff has got to go. It doesn't work. It's just not working. It's just not working. The splits are way, way, way too far, right? You have no gap control here. If Fox and if Sebastian Joseph Day don't get penetration here in the A and B gaps, then you're pretty much dead to rights, right? This is at least a 5 or 6 yard gain. So the Chargers have to be sound, right? When it comes to alignment, you can't just come out and have this, right? And think that everything is going to be fine and just, maybe bring up Derwin James. No, you can't have him come and save the day. He's not going to be able to clean this up. This offensive line, this Raiders offensive line is going to get a push against this alignment here. So I don't want to see any of that. I really, really do not want to see any of it. Now, I talked about Breeden Fehoko. He was making plays in this game, and this is a play here. I think this should probably go on his if he has a highlight reel this year, this should probably go on his highlight reel. This was a hell of a play that Breeden Fehoko made, and he was making plays out there. He was really able to get he was really able to shed some of these blocks here, and he ate the double teams very, very, very well when he was in the nose tackle position. I think he was in a one technique. He was able to be really, really disruptive and hold up a lot of these runs. Now, if you look at this move right here, once you see it from the end zone angle, you're going to be really impressed with it. For a guy this big, he has very, very good quick feet and sudden quickness for him to get off this block right here, swim move, take on a blocker, and then still able to make on a play. So he took on two guys on this play and was still able to make a play. So you see him here, right? Look at the swim move, bam. The tight end still tries to chip him, and they weren't able to do anything. The fact that Breeden Fehoko was not on this active roster to begin the season is a very, 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 very bad sign, and it's a huge indictment on Tom Telesco. It's a huge indictment on Brandon Staley as well too. This guy is one of the best run stoppers on the team, and he has shown it. And it's not just with his penetration. He eats double teams. He cannot be moved. He can't be moved. The Cardinals had a very tough time, especially in the second half, trying to get the run game reestablished. Right after they went away from it, they had already established it. They tried to get back to it. They couldn't really do it because of Fehoko. Fehoko was a beast. He was a monster, and he was eating double teams. It was pretty much a standstill, right? And running back didn't have anywhere to go. So they had trouble. They had a lot of trouble trying to start the run. And, it made sense to have this guy on the field. And when you look at it, I'm looking at it from the standpoint of why wasn't this guy out on the field, right? We see him do this. Why wasn't he out on the field? The Chargers have had trouble stopping the run. Why wasn't this guy out on the field? Why didn't he get signed to the active roster until, what was it, a month ago, whatever it was? So when all the injuries started to happen, this guy should have been playing. He should have been in the rotation. And it is a bad sign on Staley. It's a bad sign for Tom Telesco. Do they really know talent like this? I don't know. But this guy has been very, very good. He's been good since he came into the NFL. He was good last year. He was the best run stopper last year. He was good in college at LSU. So this guy should have been out on the field. The reason why the fact that he wasn't was it really makes you question if these guys know what they're doing, right? And obviously the questions are out there. But when you watch him on tape and he jumps out like this, and this wasn't the only play, he made several plays similar to this. And I'm just asking why hasn't he been out there? So let's see, DT Star L is out there. Madison Strength. Yeah. Yep. Madison Strength, yeah. Was swapping Tranquil and at their positions make things easier? No, because Tranquil's an inside linebacker. He's not an outside linebacker. I mean, Kyle Van Noy really isn't either, but I mean, he has more experience playing that. So Tranquil has always been an inside linebacker. I don't think he would have a whole lot of success like rushing the passer and stuff like that. It's just gap control really, and it starts up front. The problems start up front. It's not necessarily their faults, per se, but it starts up front. If the gaps are not contained, then they're going to have trouble, and that's what we've been seeing. I've been a Staley guy since the get-go, but getting real hard to defend him. I mean, yeah, you can't really defend him from this. You can't defend him. You can't. You just can't. This is not turning out. This defense is not great. And then even when you watch it on tape and you see some of these alignments and you see some of the positions that players are in, you're like, wow, this guy can't really have success, from anywhere, right? And again, the Kenneth Murray stuff, he hasn't played well, but a lot of times he's not in a position to make plays, just based off of alignment and based off of the things that the Chargers are doing up front, or what they're not doing up front, I should say. Honestly, there's nothing to be ashamed of. Yeah, you're optimistic with promising new prospect. Yeah, and it hasn't panned out. 100%. Blaine Thompson, yeah, the 6-1 set was working for the run. Why did they go away from it on running downs? I have no idea. I really have no idea. And the Cardinals don't have Rondale Moore. I think he's their second best wide receiver. I think he has the most catches for them this year. He was down. Zach Ertz went on IR. So the Cardinals did not have Hollywood Brown had just came back from a injury. So the Cardinals really did not have like a ton of firepower out there. DeAndre Hopkins is a guy that's not going to beat you down the field, right? He's a sit in his zone type of guy. I don't know. I have no idea why the Chargers went away from that. I would have been fine with man coverage on the outside. 6-1, stopping the run, right? Obviously, that's what you have to do. I would have been fine with man coverage, but I don't know. I don't know why they went away from it. I expect to see it against the Raiders, this weekend, but we'll see what happens because it again, you're going to be in one-on-ones, and at that point, do the Raiders, are they tempted to go to Devontae Adams in one-on-ones? Probably he'll probably be one-on-one matched up against Michael Davis or Asante Samuel Jr. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. They should go to the 6-1, but again, if you're a good defensive coach, you don't really have to go to that. You should be able to stop the run out of your base defense. And the 3-4, 3-down lineman, right? You should be able to stop the run out of that. And if you're not able to, then you have to go to all this gimmick stuff. And if you're going to all this gimmick stuff, then you're going to have a hard time. And that's what the Chargers, they've been having a hard time. So everything run related is messed up for the Chargers. Everything run related is bad for the Chargers. And that's where the issues are. And that's where the issues lie. And that's where people should be worried, right? We can praise Herbert and stuff and the offense all we want to, but if you're not able to do either of those things, you're not going to have success. And normally playoff teams are able to do at least one of the two well, right? You're either able to run the ball fairly well, or you're either able to stop the run fairly well. The Chargers don't do either, so this is something to be worried about here. And I don't want to be Mr. Doom and Gloom, but it is something to worry about. That's the game of football: running the ball, stopping the run. Very, very big aspects of the game. Have always been big aspects of the game and always will be. So if you're not able to do either of them, at a satisfactory level, then you're going to have a tough time. Chargers need to blitz more often because we can't generate pressure with Van Noy. Yeah, I agree. And if you watch this film, you see a lot of the times they brought Derwin James down on Van Noy's side. And either Van Noy dropped into coverage or James blitzed or the other way around. But they brought some help on Van Noy's side, because he's not the pass rusher that Khalil Mack is. So yeah, there is no pressure, and they do have to blitz to generate pressure there. So I expect to see more of that against the Raiders as well too. The game plan is always DJ save the day on defense. Yeah, and Herbert throw 300 plus and win us the game for us every game. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's what I said this during the last live stream that I did. I think they depend on Derwin James way too much. He is a good player, but they ask him to do too much, in my opinion. You should see your defense make plays, right? They should be making plays at every level. Defensive line, linebackers, secondary, right? But Derwin James has to come down and fill a lot of those holes, right? So if defensive linemen are not getting pressure, whatever, then you have to bring Derwin James down, put him down there, then he'll rush the passer and get pressure. If the linebackers are not tackling well or they're not shedding blocks, then they'll bring Derwin James down and he'll be in the linebacker position. He'll have to make it play. Like, they ask him to do too much. He covers up a lot of deficiencies on this defense. So to me, that is not a great thing. I love Derwin James as a player, but he should just be able to thrive as a safety. He shouldn't have to come down and clean up everybody else's messes. And this is what Staley depends on, and this is what the Chargers depend on. This is why the defense is so poor, and that's why it's so ranked low, because you have your safety coming up and cleaning up messes, and it's not fair to him, and it's not fair to the offense. It's not fair to just the team in general. You have to have a complete team, right, from front to back, and that's what the Chargers are not doing. And most of it is Staley's fault. Do you think we see 5-6 man fronts versus the Raiders? 100%. Yeah, we better. If you come out in a 4-man front against the Raiders, they are going to run. They're going to run the ball. Josh McDaniels is going to run the ball. I think they are going to go heavy running the ball. They ran the ball 40 times. They have 40 attempts against the Seahawks. 40 times. So, again, I don't know if they're going to go 40 times again. They're going to have over 30, though. They're definitely going to have over 30 combined between them. Josh Jacobs, the backups, Zamir White, Abdullah. They're going to run the ball. They're going to come out and they're going to run the ball. They understand that this is what the Chargers don't do well. So they're going to come out and they're going to try to run it as best as they can. I expect to see some 5 and some 6-man fronts. If we don't see it, then it's going to be a long day. It's going to be a long day for the Chargers if they don't come out in the run stopping formation. It will be a long day. Why didn't they resign Linval Joseph? Because he's not typically a 3-4 type of player. He is a 4-3 defensive tackle. So he had trouble last season. They tried to put him at nose tackle, and he just wasn't good. Like, he wasn't good with the double teams and all that stuff, and that was a huge problem as well too. So he kind of didn't fit Staley's defense. But at this point right now, with all the injuries, I mean, it would be good to still have him. So. Yeah, but they didn't feel that he fit the scheme. So that's primarily why they didn't sign him. What would a 4-3 front look like? Mac, Fehoko, Sebastian Joseph Day, Fox, Rum. I don't even know what like they run this. They're running this 4-man front with just 2 defensive linemen in and 2 outside linebackers. So it's still like 3-4 principles, but it's a 4-man front. A true 4-man front would be like Fehoko, Sebastian Joseph Day, probably Morgan Fox out at one of the ends, and then Khalil Mack. So like you have to have, because I don't think Chris Rumph is a defensive end. He's not an NFL defensive end in a 4-3. I don't think that he can. I don't think that he can play. I don't think he can hold up, especially in the run game. I don't think he can hold up in a 4-3. So the Chargers have players like and Van Noy too. Van Noy in a 4-3 is a inside linebacker. He's not a defensive end in a 4-3. Mac, he's played in the 4-3 before. He's been a defensive end, so he can do that. Obviously, I think Sebastian Joseph Day can play pretty much anywhere. I think he can play in a 4-3-3-4. Same with Morgan Fox as well too. I think you can move Morgan Fox around. I would want Morgan Fox at the end though, because he's very, very good at holding his own against tackles, and he can set the edge as well too. So I think a 4-3, Mac, Sebastian Joseph Day, probably Fehoko, and then Morgan Fox. I think that's for this team right now. I think it works out the best. Let's see. Let's see. In the case of a 5 to 6 man front, I wonder who shadows Devontae Adams will well down. I think it's probably Michael Davis or possibly I don't know, maybe Asante Samuel. Either way, they'll probably have help. So they're going to be playing off coverage. They never come up, and they're not going to play bump and run. So they'll be playing off coverage. So it's going to be there. If it's going to be there if the Chargers do go with the 6-man front, the one-on-one will be there. So I expect the Raiders to try to exploit that if it's there. But I think it will be there. DAC gave a retroactive thumbs up to Lohi Gilman. They said his tape was good, and the box score had him as a top player. Gilman for free safety 1. Yeah, he had a pretty good game. He had a pretty good game. I mean, he's not bad. He's not a bad player. I think he's obviously heads and shoulders above JT Woods, or even Nasir Adderley. He's much better in coverage. So yeah, I think he should be the starting safety at this point. Until he does something to lose a job, I think he should be the starting safety. Remember when we had Castillo back in the day? Yeah, Castillo was good. Luis Castillo, he was a true 3 technique, and he was very good against double teams, and he was on a good team that stopped the run. Yeah, Lohi be hustling. Yeah. I would like to see them blitz. Although he's got good instincts for tackling. Yeah, he does, but I think he's much better in coverage, though. That's what Derwin James is for. Derwin James is a much better blitzer, and they can't really block him with running backs. You've seen that against the Chiefs last week. He tore, was it Pacheco? He tore Pacheco a new one and ended up sacking Mahomes. So I think he's very, very good blitzing. But yeah, Gilman is much better in coverage than any of the other safeties on the roster. Is it Hill making the play calls on defense, or Staley? It's a circus for us on defense. I get we don't have the Rams players, but we look silly. No, it's Staley's making the play calls. Yeah, he's making the play calls, and whatever he wants to call, whatever he wants to go with, he's the final say. He calls the plays into I believe it's Tranquil calling we're in the green dot on the field now. So yeah, he's the guy that's making the play call. Let's see. Vata always seems to get burned at the worst moment, sadly. Yeah, he I don't know what it is with him sometimes. He was good in the Cardinals game, though. He was good this past week, but sometimes he does kind of, I think he takes too many chances. But, when he is locked in and when he's playing sound football, he's very, very good. So I like what I see from him. I do like what I see from him for the most part. How is it that rich stay rich? Chiefs always seem to hit on draft picks because they have a system that they go out and pluck players for, and it's very it's easier for them when you have a system, when you have a philosophy. The Chiefs have a philosophy, right? It's Patrick Mahomes, it's Andy Reid, it's Travis Kelce. They have a philosophy, so now they can just go out and handpick the guys that they want, that they know will fit their system. They bring them in and they have success, right? The Chargers don't have a philosophy. The Chargers they want to do things, but they haven't done them yet. So now when you're picking players, you don't know who is going to pop. Maybe this guy works, maybe this guy doesn't work. If you don't have a philosophy to put him in, then it's just not going to. Sometimes it'll work out. Sometimes it'll work out really well. Sometimes it'll be a very, very bad flame out, like a Jerry Tillery situation, right? But it fluctuates, right? Sometimes you get a good player, sometimes you won't. But if you don't have a philosophy, then you can't really go out and you can't hand pick who you want and who you need. You just have to get the best guy available and hope that they fit into whatever system that you have. That's why I said if the Chargers go away from Brandon Staley and they do hire another coach, I wanted Jim Harbaugh because Jim Harbaugh has a system. He has a system. He has a power running game, tough on both fronts, right? Offensive line, tough on the defensive line. It's very easy to pick players who are tough, who can fit that system. So it's very, very easy. It makes drafting easy. It makes your free agency easy because you know who fits what system and you know who doesn't, right? That way, if you're not looking for a player that is maybe going to fit in or maybe not, you know that a guy will potentially, be well in your system. When you have that actual system, you have that philosophy year in and year out, right? No matter how much roster turnover you have, you know who the coach is, you know who your quarterback is, you know the style of play you're going to play, and all of it is just very easy. So it makes it easier to draft. It makes it easier to make personnel decisions as well, too. So the Chargers don't have it. They don't have it. They don't have that yet. And they need a coach. They need a coach and they need a GM to develop that. But they just don't have it as of right now. So let's see. Does Tillery get revenge against the Chargers? Nah, he's not. He's not a. He was getting pushed around by the Seahawks last week too. I tried to catch some of that tape, but he's not making any play. He's not going to be on. I don't know if he'll be on the NFL roster next year. To be honest with you, he might be. He might be playing for the Browns or the Lions or somebody like that. Somebody like that will try to kick the tires on him, but as of right now, he's not putting out any good tape with the Raiders. He's making no plays. He's getting pushed off the ball. They run the same defense as the Chargers do. So they're still asking him to do the same things, and he obviously can't do it. He didn't do it in LA, so he's not doing it in Vegas. So yeah, I don't think that he's gonna have any revenge. He might be talking shit, but I mean, he's not gonna. He's nobody to worry about. He's nobody to name, right? And he probably won't even be on the field all that much, to be honest, either. Philosophy is a perfect description of the Chargers. Yeah, 3-4 to 4-3 and back to 3-4 less than 5 years and screw stuff up. 100%. Yeah, because even with Gus Bradley, and a lot of people talk shit about Gus Bradley, like, oh, he didn't blitz a lot and all this stuff. And I'm not a Gus Bradley fan. I'm not a defender of his, but his defense was simple. It was very simplified, but they did things at a decent level, at an average level. They stopped the run. The Chargers were like 15th when Gus Bradley was the defensive coordinator. 15th. Stopping the run, right? That's not the best in the league, but it's good enough to win games. It's good enough to get to the playoffs too. So the Chargers did things at a very, 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 simple kind of simplified defense, but they did them kind of well for being simplified. Now, if you bring in Staley and you have all of this different type of stuff, nobody has really learned the defense, right? These guys are just trying to learn it on the fly, or they're trying to make plays when they're out of position and all of that stuff. With Gus Bradley's defense, you're going to be 4-3. You're going to be, what you're going to be doing. And even the game plan is, simple and it's, very, very, similar week to week. That the same principles apply, right? You're going to have to come out and you're going to have to stop the run. You're going to have to come out and gang tackle, keep everything in front of you. Those things still apply week to week, right? And I'm not a Gus Bradley fan, but it was simplified and guys were able to make more plays. Tranquil looked really good in the 4-3 when he first came into the league as a rookie. Like, he turned some heads, right? He was just a special teams guy for a little bit, but then he actually got onto the field because he was making plays in the 4-3 because plays were there to be made. Kenneth Murray, his rookie season, going down the stretch run of the season, he played really well. He was making plays at linebacker because the defense was simplified. And he was able to, pretty much pin his ears back, right, and play downhill. Now he has to worry about this and that and this and that. Like, make it simple for the players. That's my thing. If you make it simple for them, they will respond and they're going to make plays. And then obviously the Chargers played the run better too. So it's still not, it's one of those things that you really don't know what you had until it was gone. That's kind of what it looks like now for the defensive side of the ball. Staley's still trying to find his identity. Yeah, the JT Woods was a concept pick. What if we got him, and what if he did this? 100%. Yeah, and now it's blowing up in their face because he's unplayable because he can't even tackle. He can't tackle, and it's embarrassing when he does try to tackle. Um, he's trying to tackle a grown man with his shoulder, and he is a very undersized guy. He has the height, but he's undersized. He's slim. He's skinny. He doesn't have any really mass to him. He's not a big hitter. He stays away from contact as a safety. Like, that's blowing up in his face. So yes, this is when you don't have a philosophy, then you take flyers on guys like that. You take a chance. Well, maybe if in a couple of years he does this and that, but he has to actually do all of that stuff in order to succeed. And as of right now, he just can't play. He's unplayable. So yeah, I 100% agree with you there. Even if they pull off the miracle, the Chargers need to let go of Tommy T. So yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree. They have to find a coach and a GM who are on the same page and who are going to have some type of philosophical agreements between them, right? They're going to do this. They're going to play a certain way, and they're going to do that year in and year out, no matter who's on the team, right? Your rocks, your stabilizers are going to be there, right? Herbert, Derwin James, your Mike Williams, right? Those guys are going to be there. What's the left tackle's name? Damn, he hasn't played. I forgot his name. But those guys are going to be there, right? Those are the rocks that are still going to be on your team, no matter who leaves in free agency, who gets traded, whatever. Those are the rocks on your team, right? Those are the guys that are going to be there, the mainstays. Now just build in around them with your certain philosophy. If the Chargers get that, they'll be fine and they'll be competing. They'll be in the playoffs every single season. But you try to do this, and maybe we'll try to do this, and maybe we'll try to be like the Chiefs, and maybe we'll try to do this, and maybe no, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work out. But that's it. That's all I got for this one, guys. I had to cut this a little short. Got to go take care of the children right now, so I'm gonna cut this a little short here. But I will be back. I'll be back tomorrow to finish this up. I'll probably do a video to finish a lot of this up. But thank you guys so much for all the support. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you guys for joining me. And until next time, I will see you later.